Hi, my name is Kasima Jana Ali. I'm a junior at Florida Atlantic University, and this is my key concept for interpersonal communication. Communication is important every day, and today the purpose of this is why communication is important and how it affects us every day. Now, first of all, I want to ask, what are the two most common ways to communicate? And, you could put your answers in the comment, it's up to you. And today we'll discuss, why it's so important, how we use it every day, what ways we can use it every day, so stuff like that. Now, first of all, because communication is so important, whether it's face to face, through text messages, or even by using hand gestures, you use it a lot. Because even just waving your hand hello is a way of communication. Now, if you don't think, you're very credible for communication, think about it like this. When your friends are asking you, how are you, they're actually determining if your response is true by the expression on your face. What your face expresses is also a way of communication. And this has happened, obviously, not just to myself, but many of us and our friends as well. Now, what I'm going to go into today will be the four main points of our topic. First of all, we'll be discussing the different forms of communication, like verbal and nonverbal. Secondly, we'll say how we use these forms without realizing it and how they get our message across. Next is sometimes messages can get misinterpreted, especially if you're in a foreign place, because it can lead to confusion and misunderstandings and such. And then lastly, we'll talk about the basic skills that we already have and how we can improve on it. Because maybe a change of environment can positively impact the way we communicate. Now that we are aware of what we're going to discuss, if you have any questions during the whole video, I do encourage you to please comment on the video. So let's begin. Now, our main point, the forms of communication that come off the top of our head are both, verbal and nonverbal, but there are other types aside from those. According to Miss RTR, unfortunately that's all I got, that's what her last name is, there are four major types of communications, including verbal, nonverbal, written, and visual. Now, verbal is obviously the act of speaking to one another, and nonverbal is using body language. Written would be, emails and texts, and visuals would deal with symbols and signs. When we think about these forms, we begin to realize the differences in each, but the similarities in all. That being said, they all get the message across in various ways, and I found this neat little website called typesofcommunication.net, and they say that it does not matter how you communicate with each other as long as it serves its purpose in keeping you together. And I think that's true, and it's a very nice thing to put on a report. Taking this into consideration, we use each and every form of communication that we have as we grow up from a baby to an adult. And really, this is the very essence of how we use communication to get our message across. But the thing is, we don't even realize we're doing it. Because, as a baby, you say goo goo gaga, whatever. Actually, I'm pretty sure babies don't say that. But they have their own little ways. They tap at something, tell you, what they want. And then as we get older, first of all, they don't use words, so they point to different things. And then as they get older, they're building on their way of communication. So it is something that we see all the time. Now, our second point will be how we grow up. Like I said, we speak in different ways, and this has become so habitual that we really don't notice the way we communicate with one another. But the thing is, it's something you get used to, I guess. Now, normally we show pictures, like if you're doing a PowerPoint, you show pictures as an example to get our point across, or maybe use a symbol to indicate the importance of something. But the thing is, these are all second nature to us as we grow up learning that green is for go and red is to stop. Now, verbally, we speak to one another and explain properly until the other party fully understands what it is that we're trying to imply. And according to Rod Windle and Suzanne Warren, Paraverbal messages also hold importance in the way we say things. And it's not just what we say, but they're different things. These include tone and pitch of the conversation. Now, using the body language that we have has also become quite normal. And many people talk with their hands, in this video, obviously I'm trying not to talk with my hands, but in New York, everyone talks with their hands. That's where I'm from. They talk with their hands, really to indicate the importance of something, or try to give some kind of a visual to make the conversation interesting. And actually, according to Deborah Bull from aboutpersonalgrowth.com, she says that the body language is a very powerful tool. And we had body language before we had speech, and apparently over 80%, well, like 90% of what you understand in a conversation is read through the body and not words. Now, that's a big thing, considering, you think you talk more than you move your body. But even though we put more effort into showing the importance of the message, the receiver could have misunderstood what we were trying to say. That leads us to our next point. Misinterpretation of messages is quite common, actually, but depending on your location, it can lead to a huge misunderstanding and confusion. According to a study by Colorado University, in any message, there is both a sender and a receiver, and between the two, there are factors that can come in between that may change the meaning of the intended message. That's kind of like the game telephone, If even one thing isn't conveyed properly, then confusion can arise and the original message will change. Like I said, the best example is the game telephone, and I'm sure all of us have played that at one point. The game itself is to test the effectiveness of communication and how long the original message will stay in contact before it's misinterpreted. Now, according to McGraw-Hill.com, the way a person uses eye contact and the posture in which they sit can all affect the way they communicate. It can be polite or it can be an insult. Now, for instance, if you are, at a party and you're looking aloof, it can be taken that you don't want to participate. Or if you're reading a book amongst friends, it might look like you would rather be somewhere else than with them. And that, I'm pretty sure, is a big insult to them. But with that, and with what we already know, we should expand on it and better our skills at hand. Because, you already have them, why not improve on them, right? So as we grow from babies to kids, then teens, and finally adults, the way we communicate has changed, but the way we communicate has been influenced really by the environment in which we grew up. If we grew up in the East, we would show much more respect for adults there than we do over here in the West. Now, the environment in which we are placed will always have an effect on how we communicate with someone else. In a classroom, one is much more respectful to an adult, or rather to a colleague or a professor, than if they were at a party with friends. And according to this other cool website I found, Zpedia.com, certain instincts such as desire for privacy, familiarity, and security need to be satisfied. So basically, if you feel uncomfortable, you won't stutter or start saying and yeah. Basically, a culture environment, I'm saying it, is also something to take into consideration, as one's beliefs and values may influence the way they associate themselves with others. For example, if an Indian expresses something that they believe in within the workplace, then office mates might associate themselves differently than they do with others because they don't understand the importance of cultural influences. Now, according to Professor Coggins at the Liberty University, this would be called, or would be known as, a culture identity factor. Now that we have covered the importance of communication, I know I might have talked a little fast. Let's take a moment to recover, okay? So, what we're trying to say originally is that we have just gotten over really the different forms of communication and how we use it, how it can be misinterpreted, and how even the environment can play a certain role in the development of communication. Now, although this was a lot to absorb, and I'm sure I talked really fast, I'm positive. Everyone's positive that you'll leave, or maybe not leave, but I guess exit the video, remembering at least one thing from this little speech, I guess you can say, and whatever it is that you will notice, you know, you'll really notice it throughout the day. You'll interact with different people, and I'm sure you'll remember at least one thing from this video. And that's about it. So, like I said, if you have any questions or comments, type it in a comment box, and I hope you have a nice day. And thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video.